Welcome back to Small College Conversations. I'm Kristen Eargle. I'm joined by Jeremiah Hoffman, Wisconsin Lutheran College Athletic Director. Welcome to the program. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me, Kristen.
Yes. Okay. About a year ago, yes, you were named AD, having replaced Skip Noon, who served the department for 27 years. Let's talk about your first year. What stood out to you in your first year in Milwaukee there?
Yeah, how fast it's gone, really. I mean, I can't believe it's been, we're almost through an entire academic year and a full slate of sports here. Spring sports are in full go mode, but up here in Wisconsin, that's there's a lot of starts and stops. So we get games in and then they get rescheduled. But it's been great. It's just, March of last year, Skip announced he was retiring, or actually in January, and I was brought on or hired officially March, and then my start date was July. But it's been a whirlwind. But I've enjoyed it. I'm settling in. I feel like I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit until that all changes again, like it does in this industry. But I guess overall, the thought would be it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun to dive in and have what is my passion be my job.
What are some of those wins that stood out to you?
I think it's just kind of trying to streamline some of the things that we've done or that we do in the department. So we've started to get some more official processes, if you will, that are a little bit more digital. Skip had a lot of knowledge, and he was great, and he was here for a long time. And so anytime you're at a position that long, I think you just kind of know how to do things. And he was that guy who was involved, had his hands in everything, which is great, but he also didn't write that down. So learning what has to be done when, and then trying to take some of those processes and make them more efficient where we can get them on, make them more digital and not as much pen and paper. But then the other thing that we're really excited about is just our SAC engagement, and with our student athletes, we've seen an uptick there. We're super excited about that. We're investing in that. And just, we found out last week, we proposed a student athlete class that all of our student athletes would take as part of their gen eds. They'd take it to help them transition from being a student athlete to being just a normal adult when they're done, because we feel like even at Division III, these young men and women have been grinding at their sport probably since age 8 or 9, and there's been lots of people telling them where to go and when to be there and when to work out and what to eat and how to train, and that looks very different when you're not that athlete anymore. And so how do we help you transition that way into just a daily life and a job and a career? But also, I think it's easy for our student athletes not to get the same experiences that a non-athlete student would get from the interns and those kind of things that happen, during the 4 years that they're in their academics. And so we're trying to help them understand just how much they've learned by being an athlete and how much that those things can translate into a career as an accountant or a nurse or a teacher or whatever is next for them. So I think those are kind of our biggest wins. We're super excited about those things, and have a huge list of things that we'd like to get done, but that's a good start.
For sure. You talked about the foundation has already been laid and kind of set to go. What are some of those things that you think that are set in place for WLC for growth and development?
Yeah, I think, I came into a situation, usually I said this when I was hired, and I believe it almost a year in now, is that most of the time, or more than half the time, when you come over into a department, something bad has happened. So the old person left on bad terms, or somebody got fired, or it's not going well, or fill in the blank. And so I didn't have that. Skip left everything in good shape. We have the right people in the right chairs as it relates to coaches. They understand who we are and what we are as an institution. They recruit well to that. And then financially, just he did a good job of managing the budget and not having us be in a position where we're way in the hole and we're trying to come back from that. And that has allowed us to do some things in the rebranding, the warrior head behind me that you see.
By the
You
way,
can't really see in the camera. We got a couple dream seat movie theater recliners here in my office for coaches meetings, and just kind of spruce up and make our space feel like it's our athlete space and it's branded and you're on a college campus, but also put us in a position where we can start to think about bigger projects and more facility upgrades as we move down the road. So it's just having a department that I don't have to spend all my time trying to reinvent everything. The bones are there. We're in a position where we can grow and do some new and exciting things.
over the past year, when you think about the bones are there, the structure is there, how did you go about determining what things needed to stay and what things needed to tweak?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's important to me that context. I love context, and so it was important for me to talk to all of the shareholders and stakeholders that are on our campus and find out what was important to them. And what one of the questions that I asked as I met with each of our coaches is, what has to change around here? What do we have to do differently? What has to be new and different? But if I start making changes, what's untouchable? What can I not change about how we have done things or who we are or whatever that might be? And then taking that information and going back and trying to get some engagement again from the student athletes and feel like we're in this ultra competitive higher ed space right now where everybody is competing for everyone, and there's opportunities and there's fewer kids going to college, and there's just fewer kids in general. So how do we stay competitive, and what does that look like? And so trying to take all of that information and then say, we really know that what D3 athletics is today is probably what mid-major Division I was 10 years ago. And so where are our gaps? How can we make us feel less like a 2005 Division III institution? Is that branding? Is that whatever we've done, from streaming or uniforms or gear deals or travel? How can we up that experience for our student athletes? And then one of the things that that I guess is a win that I don't know how I forgot about it, but to that end, what we're really excited about that has happened last fall and will continue is the My24, a local station. We signed a deal with them. We had all of our football games broadcast locally on TV, and they were done by a production company. We were able to get that done and actually make a little bit on the sponsorship dollars and not have to spend money to do that. And the exposure that our institution got from those 5 home games was amazing, because we had local partners and restaurants putting the games on TV when we were playing. And so it's those kind of things. Where can we do that where we can afford to do it, where it's intentional and we've thought out, this makes a lot of sense for us to spend time doing.
How did that come about?
It kind of came about. So we have a couple people that help us out in our department that have some experience in radio and TV and production and that kind of. And so we had initially looked at trying to just produce our games more than just having like your stationary huddle camera or whatever it is for our live stream. And as we went down that, the company we were talking to said, you really need to talk to these folks over here at My24. I think they're looking for opportunities to put live sports on their platform. And so we got together and said, what is this going to cost? And then we turned around and said, okay, here's the inventory of what we can sell. Can we make this happen? And really, it was our football coaches, specifically Coach Tretzky, who just, took the bull by the horns and started making phone calls. And, we have a lot of student athletes from Texas and Alabama and Florida. And so that was kind of a cool thing, because not only was it here locally on TV, but the broadcast, what we put on our website from a streaming perspective was the same. And so it felt like you were watching, a Power 5 game on a Saturday versus just that huddle live stream that we've all kind of gotten used to. And so right place, right time, but now we have it. Now we're looking to how do we add a women's volleyball game and a men's basketball game and a women's basketball game to our kind of schedule of events for next year.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, yeah, and our admissions, our administration was super excited. I mean, obviously, we felt like that was a 3-hour commercial for Wisconsin Lutheran College every Saturday in Milwaukee,
Incredible.
and then they replayed it on Sunday, so it was great. So even if you're flipping through the channels, you get 2 chances to see it. We obviously had the opportunity to use some of our material that we have, commercials and things, and play those on the game, but we also got to highlight, it was our announcers that were doing the game. We had different groups on campus that we highlighted with sideline pregame interviews. And so it was just a great opportunity for our athletes and for our coaches and for our program, but it also from a college standpoint really was like, man, you can't buy that kind of exposure.
I know. And especially Milwaukee. I mean, it's a large city too.
Yes.
That's incredible. That's awesome. So before this, you were the director of Masters of Sport and Recreation Management program. I'm curious, how do you think that prepared you for where you are today?
I think it really gave me a different perspective on the academic side. It really helped me understand what the faculty thinks about, considers, what their concerns are, how they feel about athletics as a whole. And generally speaking, they're very supportive of us. But it just gave me that perspective to know that, because I've always sat and looked at it from, I coached women college golf at UW Oshkosh before I came here for a couple of years. And so I understood things, and I coached lots of high school golf and things like that, high school basketball. I understood the coach's perspective, but that gave me the opportunity to understand the other side of it, right? And understand what that's like. And then just understand like the importance of just some of the things that come in academics, the academic integrity, and how you write and how you communicate and how you promote a program like that and where you go. And so I felt like I knew sports, but now I knew college sports a lot better after I kind of went through that for a few years.
I mean, you have the three. I mean, you have the university side, the athletics director side, and then the coach as well. And you also play a lot of golf yourself, right?
Yeah, so I'm still a member of the PGA, so not like the
That's what
team
I thought.
PGA.
I thought I read this somewhere.
Yeah, so I'm a PGA member. Prior to getting into college athletics, I've been a PGA member since 2007. So I worked at golf courses for over 20 years. Prior, even I started actually when I was like 14 years old in high school, working on the driving range, and kind of stayed at that same course. Became a PGA member, worked there for a long time, moved to another course. For people that aren't from Wisconsin, we have like 4 nice months a year for weather.
Yeah.
And I just got to the point where I had kids, and I was like, man, the best part of the year, I'm gone 60, 70 hours a week. What else can we do that my skill set fits and my passion for sports works? So yeah, I've seen some different sides of the business, and it's interesting because I think you can see how each step that I had in my career has kind of like put me in a position to be ready to do the next thing.
Right. And that mindset, Eric. Let's go back to this past fall. The college put out a new Faithful Forward Together strategic plan. The main element is to grow enrollment by 1,000 traditional undergrads and 500 grad students, plus an 80% retention rate. How does athletics play into this?
That's a big chunk. So our sweet spot is to just hang in that 1,000 undergrad number, or in that range. I think we're just under that. We really can't, right now with our facilities, we can't go very much bigger than that. There's just not the space for us. A lot of our students live on campus. But currently we're 43% of students. So we have 430 student athletes, approximately 1,000 undergrads. So we're a huge part of it. Like, our coaches have to be our best recruiters. We have to be really good. We have to be mindful of those goals. And that part, I think, is getting more challenging. Our coaches have done a good job to do it, to meet the goals that we've put in front of them, and maintain rosters and help us have a very stable enrollment, and very be in a position where we're grateful and blessed to be in a position where we're not scrambling, and we don't have to do crazy things to try and get more students. I think where we have never really encountered the issue will be in that retention. We usually retain pretty high. We were in the low 80s or even mid 80s last year. We have some folks in the administration who have some lofty goals to be even higher than that. And we've done a good job. We have big rosters, but we do retain pretty well. But I think we just have to keep being proactive in that and understand that the landscape is changing. Even though there's sort of not really a portal at Division III, there is. Kids are transferring. Sure. NIL deals are happening at some places. The grass always seems to be greener, and I feel like there's even a little bit of like this stigma of, I just want to experience what it's like to transfer. So even sometimes kids that are happy end up in the portal and are changing. And there certainly are times when it's really beneficial, and I'm not against the portal at all. But I just think we have to be aware of that. And so that is really important for us to stay on top of that, to understand that, to make sure. And that's, again, kind of why we've engaged so hard and committed to finding out what our student athletes are telling us, because ultimately they're going to be the ones that make the decision. We can't force them to want to do things the way we want to do things. We have to understand how they're doing it and figure out where that meshes with what we need to do as an institution and our institution's mission and all of those things.
Now you announced you will add flag football for the spring of 2028. My question is, that's a long lead time. What made that timeline best fit for your university?
I think a couple things. I think we want to make sure we do it right. And we want to make sure that, as we add sports, the last thing we want to do is, if you're looking at it strictly from a business perspective, I don't want to add sports that add cost and add things that we have to pay for and are responsible for from a budgetary, and then just have existing students be the only people that play that sport. Mm-hmm. And so we felt like if we had a full year, we know we're going to have some people that are some young women that are walking around our campus now that are going to bounce from other sports and give flag a try, or maybe are not doing anything and are going to give flag a try. That's part of the plan. But we also wanted to give a year for our coach, who we hope to hire yet this spring or early summer, have one full year to understand the sport, understand how to set up the program, recruit, and bring in some student athletes to kind of meet the benchmarks from an enrollment standpoint that we proposed as we added it. And so I felt, and we felt as an institution, if we tried to do that, if we announce now and we're trying to play by next spring, it's so late, especially traditionally our young women students are making their decisions on colleges early. And so we would be smack dab into the point where a bunch of them had made decisions or were about to make decisions. And we just felt like that was going to be too late. And so we wanted to have a really strong start.
In terms of Wisconsin, you're the 10th team that'll be added in the state, 6th in the conference, if I'm not wrong, but the first in the greater Milwaukee area, where there's over a dozen high schools that are playing the sport. This has to be a strategic advantage for you, don't you think?
Yeah, that was part of it. That's what made it. That's what kind of put it over the edge, is that in our state, that's where high school girls are playing, is right in our backyard. And so we've seen that. We've been following that. And we have some other Lutheran schools that are feeder programs, or not feeder programs, but schools that we tend to do well at, that, over the coming months, I'll be knocking on their AD's door and saying, hey, you got to give this a try. And we have a couple schools that are bigger where girls aren't able to be on the soccer team or don't want to run track or aren't softball players. And I think there's a niche for it as it continues to grow. But you're absolutely right. Like the Milwaukee area is going to be kind of our bread and butter. And then expanding out from that, we think we'll get other players from kind of some other pockets around the United States that we traditionally have done well as, and being the first in Milwaukee, we love that. We say that we're Milwaukee's college football team because nobody else in the city has men's football either. So we love that moniker. So we'll take it with the women's flag too. And I'm sure we won't be the only one for long, especially on the women's flag football side, but we'll use that for now.
Earlier in this broadcast, you talked about kind of hinting to maybe some facilities that you would like to improve. So when you think about strategic planning over the next 3 to 5 years, what's top of mind for you?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is our outdoor sports and our spring sports in combination with just our outdoor complex as a whole. So we have one gym. It's beautiful. We love it. We think it's really good on game day. We will put it up against almost any game day arena in our league and across the country. But that becomes a real problem in the spring in Wisconsin when it rains and it snows and it's cold. And so baseball, softball, track, even some of our non-traditional season stuff like our soccers are running into issues where we are just all competing for the same space. So kind of the first thing is we just need to have we need more turf space. Currently only our football field is turfed. So we're currently investigating a plan to try and turf our soccer pitch, seeing what it would take to get turf on our baseball and softball fields, where I think last year baseball played 3 home games and softball played 1, just because the field isn't ready because it rains and it's cold and all of the other things. So it's those things. And then we've done prior to me getting here, there was some initial research done. We're getting further down the road and seeing, is there a feasibility? Is there an opportunity for us to add a dome on one of our turf areas so that we have some space where we don't have to go and rent at the $500 to $700 to $800 an hour for our teams to go off site and practice in those winter months and in those early spring months. So I'm learning about all that. I'm learning about turf. I'm learning about domes. I'm learning about local ordinances and lot lines and variances and easements and all these different things. And it's been exciting. And I think, we're not there where we're ready to announce or kick off a campaign, but we're getting closer. And that's exciting. And that there's a kind of a buzz around campus that we're looking into these things and they could be on the horizon.
And obviously that you'll have to generate a lot of revenue for those types of things. What do you think in terms of revenue streams? It has to be an encouragement what you found last year from an advertising perspective with your TV broadcast has to give you hope that, hey, some of these projects that I'm envisioning, that we could see this to the finish.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And so I think there's an appetite for local businesses and people to want to be involved in Division III sports and want to be supportive of that. And so it was. We got a lot more yeses than we did no's as we went and sold those commercials for the football season. And so that's a good start. I think one of the things that they told me through the process and as they wrote the new job description when I got hired is that they'd like the athletic director to do more development. Skip did not get involved in that very much. Wasn't his favorite thing to do, which is fine. I do have a little bit of experience in that world. And so I think that having some specific athletic fundraising outside of your traditional golf outing or the snap race type stuff at the beginning of the year will help. But I also believe that some of the things we're looking at can be revenue generators just from the impact or from the standpoint that in Milwaukee, there's just not those facilities. And so if we had one, there would be some demand there. There would be people that would want to do it. And that's kind of what we're trying to test the waters and tell the story of. We think this is good for us. This is good for local community groups, but this is also good for the community because it's going to bring people to our little neck of Milwaukee or Wauwatosa and get people spending money kind of in the local economy. So it's all of those things together are going to be how we get to where we can do some of these projects.
One of the things that you did upon stepping the role is partner with Influxer to create NIL opportunities for your student athletes. Why was that a good fit and a strategy there at WLC?
Because I think it's a company that's known and they have a reputation to be legit, first of all, and they have a fairly easy onboarding or integration for us that we could get something out there for our student athletes and at least be in a position to offer something. It's not where we'll end. It's not where we're not done in that space, but I think that deal made it showed, or at least I hope sent the message that we know this is out there. We know this is real. We believe this is part of Division III, and we want to be a part of it. And we want to be somebody who, an institution that is thinking about it and is on the front end of it and not waiting until the very end to try and react.
Final question for you. What's next?
Just keep going down the road, trying to figure out if we can get some of that turf and get those domes. We're going to continue we have kind of a plan on the branding within our facility. So we'll continue with that plan. We trying to feature some of our student athletes in different graphics and photos throughout our spot. And also just kind of make it like, our campus is beautiful, but you hardly know you're coming into a gym. And so how do we make that feel like this is not just another building, this is the athletic department, and show that to our student athletes that are here as recruits and that are already with us, and then just continue to engage with not only my coaches, but with our student athletes with SAC, and watch that continue to grow and really get them to buy in.
Jeremiah, it's been a joy to get to know you. Thank you so much for your time. Continued success.
Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate it.